everyone, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Gina, and for today's video, I'm going to be talking about opening up to others. I'm just going to be creating this video and talking about how I perceive it and how I feel about the concept of opening up and being honest with a lot of people. People would think about opening up. I personally like choosing topics that I really enjoy and love to talk about. Fitness, mental health, photography, education. Because what I feel like when it comes to opening up with others is you should be doing it in a comfortable setting, talking about a topic that you feel and comfortable stating to others. You don't have to talk about things that you don't personally feel like needs to be said or needs to be shared, and that's okay. You're just talking about things that aren't really considered mediocre, or you are going a little bit more in depth than what would have considered the conversation to be small talk. If you are curious on how I perceive small talk, I'll put a link down below. I did create a video on that. Like I mentioned, we don't have to share everything that's going on within our lives. However, if you do choose to create a deeper connection with someone, you will eventually start sharing bits and pieces of your story. Because we are all individual people. We all have experienced our own happiness, sadness. We've all experienced things on different accounts. So we are all walking storybooks, and one day you will realize that maybe you want to share these parts of you that you didn't think you did to people that you feel comfortable stating to, or to strangers that you feel like deserves to hear the story from your perspective. Something that has been brought up to my attention is that when we share our own stories, our own experiences of what we've gone through, it helps people who have gone through a similar experience to be able to relate and realize, okay, I'm not the only one who's going through this. Or maybe you haven't gone through this experience, but you just want to hear what people who have gone through it and how they have learned from the experience and how it's changed their perspective on that certain situation. Could be beneficial to you, because even though you probably won't experience it, but now you have an idea, okay, this is how I could possibly experience it. The thing is that if you're stating a story that has happened to you, whoever you're telling that story to will realize the personal growth within you as you are telling them, like, this did happen to me. And look, because it did happen to me, I've changed. I know what's right and wrong, or I've learned that when this experience does happen again, I know how to take care of myself. And also there are moments where you don't have to share every single detail of what is going on. If you don't feel like that information is important to be stated, or if you don't feel comfortable sharing that information with someone, then that's totally okay. They don't need to know the whole story if you're not ready to release the whole story. And if you feel like there's only a certain section of that story that's really going to be beneficial for that person you're talking to, or for that group of people that you're advising for, then that's okay. Just help them realize this is something you've gone through, and this is something they can take away and realize, oh my gosh, we can be the same person coming out of the situation, or oh my gosh, I shouldn't be doing this because I don't want to end up like that guy. And that's okay. Sometimes we have to tell people what we did wrong because we don't want them to make the same mistakes we did. For example, my path through college, and I've made some mistakes, and I don't mind sharing it with others because I don't want people to go through the same mistakes I made. I want their college experience to be super fun and super easy. Well, as easy as it can get. And I don't want them having to make the detours that I've made. So that's why I don't mind sharing the mistakes and the faults I've made, because at least they're not going to make that same mistake I did. But at least they know, okay, Gina did this, so I probably shouldn't do that. Or Gina did do this, and look how successful she came out. So maybe I should do something similar. And that's all right. Share what you feel like is necessary and needed to help bring out how much personal growth you've obtained, so that person who's listening to the story can see, okay, I can grow too. If they did it, I can do it. Because at the end of the day, those few words that you do choose to share will create a huge impact for your listener. Or you don't know what they're going through, and maybe that one single phrase that you mentioned about something that you went through that was similar will impact that person heavily. I know actions speak louder than words, and I 100% agree with that, and I believe it all the way. Oh my gosh. I'd rather take action on what I am about to do than tell the world and say, oh, I'm gonna be doing this, blah, 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 and then I don't do it. I'd rather just do it behind the scenes, and people will say, oh my God, Gina just did this and she didn't state anything. Of course, that's the life that I truly like to live. However, every now and then there's something that could possibly be stated, possibly change a person's mindset, and that's personal growth for them. And that's something that we can look for when we are relaying our stories. Communication is vital for any relationship, whether it be romantically, on a friend level, with family, co-workers. It's actually a topic I've talked about in my Making Friends and Losing Friends video. I'll link that down below too. And you need to be able to communicate. Maybe you're not on that level with people that you're around to really state why you feel the way you feel. And that's okay. But maybe consider share your opinion on something. If they're asking you, oh, hey, Abby, do you want to go to this party tonight? You guys are 16, you're in a seniors party. And Abby would say, yeah, maybe, let's go. But she deep down doesn't want to go. Abby, you're not helping yourself. You're actually hurting yourself from evolving because you're lying. And Abby, you just told your friend yes, when if you told her no, that would have been something both of you wouldn't have to deal with. Your friend wouldn't have to deal with you being so awkward at the party because you don't want to be there, and you wouldn't have to deal with all that emotional stress of being at an event that you don't want to be at. For an example, let's talk about maybe doing events that you don't feel comfortable at. And that's okay. I don't personally go to parties, and that's something that I've told my friends that I don't enjoy doing. And that is fine because I've opened up to them and told them, hey, yeah, you guys can go do it. Have fun, be safe, but you're not going to see me there. And at least I opened up to them and told them that, and they respect it and understand. And now we've bonded a little bit on a deeper level when it comes to this topic. And that's something that I think could be important when creating a romantic relationship or creating friendships, is even if you don't want to tell them why, you don't have to. No one needs to know everything about you. However, if you are planning on keeping these people around, they probably need to know at least your feelings towards a certain subject or topic, so they know whether to stay away from it or know that you just genuinely don't care and don't appreciate those type of things. Being open can just be a simple answer. You don't have to go in a long, deep, complicated response if you don't feel comfortable doing so. If you just say, sorry guys, no, not up for it, I'm not really into that type of stuff, that's totally fine. At least you've mentioned something and you know that they will not ask you again because it's not something you want to do. Now, let's say that I told my friends I personally don't like going to parties and I don't like being at those type of events and activities, just not something I personally enjoy doing. And let's say that they responded back to me very negatively and they were saying, oh, Gina, grow up, or oh, Gina, you're missing out, blah, 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 blah. But they're saying it in a very conceited and rude way. At that moment, I will know that they are not meant to be my friends because they don't genuinely care what I have to say. I chose to be open with them. I chose to express that I don't like doing this. And if they're choosing to respond harshly and negatively, then that means that there are some insecurities with them themselves, seeing, okay, Gina's not doing this, but I am. What does that mean? What is the difference? And they might want to ask for a response or anything, and you remember, you don't have to give them a response, but if they're not treating you with kindness even after you've opened up to them, then I'd reconsider that friendship, that relationship, because people shouldn't be harsh and conceited and condone to their own opinions when someone's telling them how they feel about that subject. Right there is where I think you should possibly get a new friend group. Now, let's say that I told my friends and they reacted very positively. Okay, Gina, we totally understand it's not a topic you enjoy talking about. Now, right there, I've opened up, and my friend group appreciated it because they know it's a subject that's not something that I enjoy discussing with them or I want to voluntarily talk about with them. And those are friends that you should keep around. Actually, there's this Instagrammer, her name is Alessandra. I'll link her account down below, and she actually did a post about this, what I've just mentioned, when it comes to drinking. And I don't want to say her story because that's her story, and if you're curious, just read it. But that's something that she went through, and I feel like a lot of people go through, is that we choose not to participate in any activity. The friend group does react negatively. It usually has to do with some insecure level, or they're just seeing, okay, is he growing up? Okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't want to realize that, because that means that they are taking the noble high path. And then at the end of the day, that's their problem, not yours. You chose to open up, and this is the response you get. Now you know to move on and find different people to associate yourself with, and let those people deal with their own issues because they have something going on if they're not going to treat you with the kindness and respect that you deserve as an individual, because we all don't have to like and dislike the same things. You decide to open up and create that type of connection with someone, people can understand what not to say and what to say around you. Okay, for an example, when I was really young in elementary school, I had one friend and she hated the word whatever. She just didn't like that word. She didn't how it expressed the situation or the way the voice sounds, because when you say whatever, it sounds actually very harsh and negative. And I respected that. I never used that word around her. And I'm glad that she opened up with me and told me that, because that just showed me, okay, this is something I shouldn't be saying around her. So it was just out of respect too. Is that when you do open up, people will respect what you have to say, because they don't want to make you feel sad or angry or frustrated, or you don't even want to be around them. And I think it's very appreciative to know that there's people out there who are willing to understand what you have to say without you really having to give an explanation for it. Also want to mention that if people do react negatively to how you feel a certain subject, don't blame yourself for it. It's not your fault at all. You are you because of the experiences you've encountered. That doesn't mean to change either. Don't change because you can't align with certain people. If you did that, you're just going to be miserable, and you're going to be living an alternate life because you're doing everything you hate and not doing everything that you truly love. If you don't align with people and you don't have that connection with each other to grow and prosper, evolve, and learn, they aren't your friends. That person is not your significant other if they're forcing you to do things that you don't like. Now, of course, if they're making you do something out of your comfort zone, like personally, I don't like roller coasters, but if one of my friends said, hey Gina, go on a roller coaster, it would be good for you, that's okay, because they're trying to make me grow out of my fear. But if I told them, hey, I don't like going to parties, I don't want to do this, and they're saying, Gina, you should go, this will help change you, then right there, I know that that person's not keeping my best interests at heart. Being honest, raw, vulnerable, genuine with your conversations will deepen your relationship with that person. But for me personally, I feel like the two biggest words that have the deepest meaning when it comes to opening up to someone is trust and being comfortable. Because if you trust that person and you feel comfortable with that person, you wouldn't be second guessing about expressing the experiences you've encountered. The person is listening, and that they're aware and understanding the emotions that you're conveying to them. If you do feel trust between each other and you feel comfortable with each other, then that will definitely allow your relationship to soar, because you know you guys have each other and you know you guys can count on one another to evolve and grow and to get away from the small talk. And when you're ready to open up, don't apologize. You don't have to say, guys, I'm sorry, but I need to say this. Just do it, which I have a video on that too. Stop saying I'm sorry, link down below. You don't need to apologize for what you have to say, because what you have to say is important and valuable, because you're important and you're valuable. You are loved and cared for, and your friends want to know, or your partner wants to understand why you're going through these things. And if you open up to them, it will be easier for you to realize why you feel this way, and it will be easier for your people to understand, okay, don't say this, or okay, do say that in these certain situations. It would just make the relationship a lot more smoother, knowing that those little bumps in the road will no longer be there, because you know how that person genuinely feels. So of course, speak up when you're ready to. If someone's trying to pressure you into talking about something that you're not ready to discuss, then tell them, say, hey Jose, I do not want to be talking about this right now. Let's say your poor grandfather has unexpectedly passed, and Jose is saying, and he's making dead jokes, then say, dude, Jose, that's not cool. I don't want to be hearing that type of stuff, because I don't feel comfortable about expressing my feelings, and I don't think you're somebody that I need to be expressing that to. You know, get a little harsh. Sometimes people need to be slapped in the face with words to understand that what they just said is uncool. And so that's what I mean by talk when you're ready, and don't feel pressured to say stuff that you aren't ready to be said, because maybe you haven't really evaluated your feelings towards it. Maybe it happened so fast that you're still processing it, or maybe you just don't feel like these people have the right to know, because like I mentioned earlier in this video, nobody has to know everything that's going on inside of you or what's going on in your personal life, because your personal life is personal for a reason. It's up to you if you want to share it, and you don't need to be forced to share anything. You share when you're ready to share, because this is your story. These are your feelings, your experiences that you are just choosing to open up to others, because you feel trust and you feel comfortable to express yourself in this way. If you're not ready, you're not ready, and just let them know. And if, like I mentioned, if they're real, genuine friends, they will understand and give you the time that you need to go through whatever you're going through at that moment. So it's okay. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Bye!